The AI action plan basically wants to invest 200 billion, but at the same time really build the infrastructure for future of AI with the 13 gigafactories.
Very European, Let's spread out one factory for each key member of the European Union, and then assign some competence centers around those factories.
Let's kick off with what is happening in Europe and AI in general. So the European Commission presented the AI Continent Action Plan, where basically they try to outline what are going to be the next steps for the AI development on a community based. So basically the idea is really to understand better like where the European Union as a group of country wants to go, where they want to develop and how they want to do it. So very interesting. And Nick, you were mentioning this news, like we didn't hear much about this. I mean, this came out 6 days ago and not much press about it, but is a big deal actually.
No, I agree with you. It's a big deal in some sense. And I found out about it by chance because I was reading another article together, and there was this mention about the European plan for the AI data centers. I was like, what? And it turns out that the idea around the plan, the AI Continent Action Plan, has been around for a few months. It dates back to late last year. And a few days ago, the European Commission just published the entire action plan. So it was absolutely random, and it's absolutely interesting. So we found out how the European Commission thinks to deploy at least part of that famous 200 million AI fund that they set aside some months back.
Exactly. So the AI action plan basically wants to invest 200 billion, but at the same time really build the infrastructure for future of AI with the 13 gigafactories in AI, among other things. So let's start from there, the investment part and the infrastructure part. So yeah, the 200 billion you mentioned for the listener is basically part of basically a program called Invest AI, which was announced back in February 2025, where basically the European Commission committed 200 billion in developing AI project across all the European Union. So big deal, definitely a huge commitment, which by the way, if I'm not mistaken, it's a pretty big deal because what the US is doing, and we usually compare unfairly with the US, of course, but the Starlink project for AI is 500 billion. So the 200 billion for the European Union is a big deal. I mean, is okay, the US is double, but another initiative is substantially smaller in terms of investment. The AI gap is really like closing in terms of how the governments want to spend money to support AI infrastructure. So I thought it was an interesting comparison there.
Yeah, that's true. As far as I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not great about that, but the Starlink project expects 500 billion in investment, but with a lot of private capital. Am I right?
Good point. Yes, absolutely.
The 200 billion from the European Commission, they are all public funding.
That's a good point. Yes, I'm not exactly sure about the proportion for the Starlink project. But
but I remember there was this commitment from Microsoft, from SoftBank.
Absolutely.
Yeah, OpenAI committed a lot of money they didn't have at the time. It was fun. But still, huge numbers.
The number is massive. That's why I think it really should raise an interesting, a set of questions at least to see exactly and keep an eye like where this thing is going, because it's a massive deal for sure. Then, of course, we don't have much visibility on how exactly Invest AI as an entity will deploy capital. So the idea is, okay, is it going to be another fund of fund? Is it going to be direct investing? Is it going to follow the CDP strategy with a bunch of accelerator and deploying? Is it a hybrid strategy? So very, very powerful for sure, but would love to see like what is going to happen really, like on the ground. Yeah.
And as part of the news, what hit me was the idea around the 13 AI factories. and very European. Let's spread out one factory for each key member of the European Union, so make all of them happy, and then assign some competence centers around those factories. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. Is a very European Union-ish style. Yeah, it's like we need gigafactories, we need infrastructure. Okay, each country gets one in some ways. Like fair, it's fairness, right? The question is, first of all, like which country are going to be the most ready to actually implement that? Because European Union in AI definitely travels at different speeds. Like big data center, probably they have like a different development stage in different countries. So yeah, great idea, but in terms of implementation, it's not going to be immediate at the same rate and speed in all the countries. So I expect probably like countries like Germany, France, and maybe Italy to be like the quick one, some of the quickest for sure to implement this, and then the other countries to follow. But yeah, the push is definitely interesting, and the push is definitely willing to bring everyone up to a higher level. So that's definitely awesome.
Yeah, it's a question, it's an open question. My question around this approach, this initiative is, spreading out competence, so areas of aggregation of competence into smaller pieces and spreading them out geographically, each one far away from the other. I'm not sure. Does it really work? Does it work? The Silicon Valley effect is there to explain us that small concentrated communities around specific problems tend to be super productive at tackling big problems with big resources, because there is ease of sharing of knowledge, of movement of people. So having 13 centers across Europe, is that easy to approach, to move around? So I don't know. I'm not sure. So I don't think that the Silicon Valley approach is the only approach that works. But still, I don't know. I just wanted to make this reasoning with you.
Yeah, great point. And yeah, the idea is really thinking about the next step. Like, okay, once we have the Gigafactory in place, okay, how are they gonna unify in some sort of like a macro European like framework of AI infrastructure? That's a great question, I think. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about another interesting point, which was really European commissioning kind of flavor, is the idea of the data union strategy, which will be launched parallel to this initiative to improve access to high quality interoperable data for AI development. So very interesting, always like a very focus on how data is built, enriched, and secured. So how we make it secure, private, with all the regulation that the EU is famous for. That's how we're seen basically from abroad. So they managed to include this kind of piece. Now, is it going to be some guardrails which just speed up and focus the project, or are there going to be breaks in terms of in development of certain part of the infrastructure? So big question here, I think.
Yeah, I wonder whether it will be GDPR compliant.
Yeah, exactly. Itself, exactly.
Yeah, so that would be fun if it wasn't. No, anyhow. So this is good. The problem of quality data, a huge amount of quality data is important. I'm very curious about the top-down approach to creating such amount of data in a quick, right, and usable way.
Yeah. So another interesting point, which was mentioned, but it was kind of like really quickly covered, which is basically there will be the cloud and AI there will be like an implementation of a cloud and AI development act that will boost private investment in cloud and data centers. So this was just a one-liner. Not much content visible right now, but definitely it's something to keep an eye on. Exactly how basically they will bring in private capital to actually this public deployment of capitals. That's very interesting. So let's see how it's going to move.
Yeah, this is an entirely new. It looks like an entirely new act by the European Commission. So they will, send out some rules plan to boost this investment in cloud and private data centers. And it will be good news. I mean, we need them. This is. I don't know how you read all of this. It's like trying to cut the ties to the American world, American ecosystem of big internet players, big cloud providers. That's interesting. I mean, my big worry is that we get back to at least two experiments that were already made in the last decade around creating the European cloud infrastructure. Gaia, do you remember Gaia X?
No, actually, no.
Yeah. Go look it up. It was 10 years ago, I believe. So there was a huge pan-European project to set up basically the AWS equivalent. And they put together a lot of players from the private sector to work on this very European infrastructure. AWS equivalent, sort of. So I'm very simplifying, but just to get the idea.
Yeah, maybe with AI, it's a new life to this kind of input. Maybe with the idea of AI, yeah. But definitely an urgency. I mean, just by looking at the deployment of capital, I think for me that was the biggest flag saying, "Hey, this is serious. We need to move quickly on this." So that's
that's important. I hope that this pressure and the recent past errors put together will make this action plan the best one possible for Europe. Because I mean, it's probably the last big train we can take on AI. That is my impression.
Yeah.
So we should not, get it wrong.
Yeah, no, for sure. So one last element that caught my eye was really, and then we move to other news, was the attraction of AI talent. So that's going to be, I think, a bit difficult in the sense that it's true that Europe has a lot of AI talent. Right now, the big sort of innovation does still happen in the US. So I'm curious exactly when it comes to attracting people back to Europe or to stay in Europe. Probably the beginning part would be to engineers building a data center and AI infrastructure, which is definitely matching what's going on with these investments. So probably that's the starting point. But when it comes to LLM developers, something more theoretical, sort of researcher, it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to play out. Yeah. And probably one depends on the other. I mean, once Europe gets the sort of the latest and brightest technologists in the AI space, let's say in Germany, in Italy, in France, or somewhere else, then it will automatically attract people developing new concept of LLM, and they need infrastructure to test and run. So I don't know. These are hypotheses.
Regarding the talent point that you made, it is interesting that the first bullet is about attracting non-EU workers in AI to the European Union. That's interesting.
Interesting, yes.
Right? So they're not famous for wanting to and having the willingness to attract aliens outside of Europe. And the first bullet is non-EU workers, attract non-EU workers. Yeah.
Oh, good point. Great point. So let's see how they're going to do that exactly. Is it upskilling? Is it including them in some pieces of the AI infrastructure? That's going to be cool. That's going to be cool to see.
So if you want to be practical, where are the biggest hub for AI research and talent? US, China, maybe India.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So we are saying that we want to attract US nationals, Chinese people, and maybe India, I don't know, some Far East, Southeast Asia. And that's interesting.
And that's a little bit unprecedented. So it's very ambitious, very, very ambitious.
Well, I think that China has in place a huge set of incentives for Chinese nationals to go back to China now. So we are decided to compete against behemoths and this.
Yeah.
And governments that have been moving in this space for decades.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's I really don't get me wrong. I'm happy that they're setting out an ambitious plan in order to be a player in AI and not just land of conquest. I'm very happy about it. Still, I'm worried that we will take the commissioning, as you said, approach to stuff. We need speed, we need conviction, we need involvement of all the countries, and not someone dragging their feet around, because otherwise we will be land of conquest.
100%. Right, moving on to just a few quick fire for the latest news of last week. So it was a decent week, not huge rounds. Still interesting because basically the latest round, they touch a few topics that are really sensitive for Italy, which is healthcare and robotics. So starting from Medicud, Medtech startup raising 1.3 million in a seed round from CHMBR Partner, 50 Partner Capital Health, and a few business angels. So that's interesting. Basically, they are developing a device to help surgeon. So again, we're not technicians, but it's interesting to see this trend. I believe with this funding, they're gonna basically ramp up production. So that's a critical moment for them. Very interesting, and let's see. I mean, this is a good moment to see how exactly this product is going to be validated on the market. And secondly, robotics deals. So robotics, it's recurring. We see robotic deals like periodically. It's a big pattern, I think, in Italy, both in terms of manufacturing and advanced technology. And this one in particular, so Exsensia, robotic startup raising 1 million in seed round from RoboIT, Elettrocablaggi, and Pariter Robotics, among the others. So there is a movement in robotics. What's your feel, Nick, on this? I mean, we've seen a few things happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I would expect more actually in robotics, because we do have a legacy in Europe in general, in Italy in particular. Not only as consumer of robotics, but our manufacturing base is quite strong. So we have like tens of thousands of cobots deployed in the country, but we also have research, and I would expect to see more.
Yeah, interesting.
Because there are customers, there's technology, there's research. So I expect to see more technological proposals coming up in the near future.
Interesting. And to finish the episode, let's look into a few investors. So a few of the most active investors in Italy, they're also like planting flags abroad, talking about, of course, one of the most active one, Lifty, basically joining a 21 million round in Sparrow Quantum, and Nextalia Ventures joining a 75 million Series B round raised by Rain, which is operating in fintech. So good examples actually of Italian investor, like also checking out what's happening abroad, and definitely like betting on what's happening abroad. So it's a good sign.
Yeah, good news.
All right. With that said, thank you so much, Nick, for joining, and I'll see you next week.
So Jack, take care, everybody. See you in a week.